going to flag Skins as well. Skins is a kind of like a Channel 4 brand, which is immensely popular, obviously, but also has a very kind of famously loyal online following. So if we go to see the site, this again is another example of the kinds of things that APs, people coming in the industry, are kind of working on. It's just a bit of content. I think, you know, something that Chris will be very familiar with, and other people here. It's factual content, but it's positions, what they say, around a brand. So these are the kind of things that you might well start off doing, etc. Okay, so my message really, just to sum up, is that as far as producers and directors are concerned, they don't necessarily come from a media background. Like Chris says, I think that the skills that they need are not actually necessarily media specific. There are lots of other skills that you need, which is what we call soft skills, which are more the kind of communication skills, knowing about ideas, how to tell a story, to learning what people want. And that once you get in industry and you want to produce and direct, what you're probably doing is producing content, what they call content, as opposed to necessarily films. So I think that's an important thing to get into your head, is look at online, look on television, watch television, look at what's being made of social media content, and think about that. Because when you go and talk to a company and you talk to try and get a job, if you're talking in the language of content, and you're thinking about all the different ways that you can have ideas, you're going to be in a better position. And like Chris said, you know, his fantastic 9.5 rules. You know, don't forget yourself in all that. You know, don't forget yourself. What you need to remember is about your talent. You know, what's individual about you. So don't get to think out of the box. You know, mix fiction, mix documentary, mix kind of games, animated content, you know, just mix all those ideas up. And if you're talking that kind of language, I think you're probably going to be a great prospect and prospect in the industry. Any questions? I know I rattled through it, and you can talk to me later. If I just bludgeoned you into submission.
Did you always want to be in this sort of industry?
Yeah, I wanted to be an actor, actually. I did drama. I did a drama degree, and I wanted to be an actor. And I got the kind of film buzz. I got to as a runner, and I went through into the industry as an assistant editor, and then an editor, and then I got a chance to be a director, directing with a company called Maverick Television in Birmingham, producing and directing a thing called Video Diaries, which was a kind of like a small camera documentary series. And I just got really fascinated by the way that people could be engaged with, like ordinary people in inverted commas, could be engaged with the media and get them making their own media, which could then tell their stories on television. So I started my own company to do that after working for a variety of companies as a director, including BBC. So, any other questions?
You talked about the super indies and indies. How do you actually get to sort of being involved in that? How do you you have an idea or think? Okay. How do we now?
Okay, I mean, I only touched on that because in a way that structure is the traditional structure. Things are breaking down a little bit. If you've got an idea now, usually the traditional way to do it is to find someone to advocate that idea for you, and that would be probably a smaller indie, or a bigger indie, or a freelance director, producer that you might know that you could work with. Because in a way, being somebody, if you haven't got a track record and you haven't made anything before, you might have a really unique idea which has got great access, unique access. It's got everything going for it. But what you need to do is nurture, protect that idea, and talk to somebody who can help you pitch it. Because pitching is, as we know, is a very important skill in the media. As producer director, you need to have that in space. But my advice is really to if you want to access super indies and indies, is to go and talk to them, find somebody you trust, and work with them to produce your idea. You can try and approach channels on your own, but it's unlikely in a way that there's so much competition for these jobs and these slots that in a way what you need is what we call an advocate, which could be a producer director that you know or have interest with. I mean, there's a few here that you could talk to, I'm sure, about ideas and how to kind of progress them. There are ways to do it though. One, there's a slot called First Cut on Channel 4, which is the half-hour documentary strand. Again, it's probable that they're looking for people who are slightly more advanced in their careers, but it's something maybe if you've got a unique idea, you might be able to team up with somebody else to deliver. Any other questions?
What sort of treatment do you need to come up with in order to find maybe a partner in small indie to
well, personally, from talking from my point of view, a side of A4 and no more is a good way of, if you can't communicate that idea on a side of A4, you should be trying to bring it down to a side of A4. But I think that if you can, it's better to meet. To what Chris talks about networking, he talks about making connections. I think that's really important. I think in a way you want to find somebody that you trust and are talking the same language with. It may be that they're particularly into the thing that your idea is about. I know that we've done quite a few documentaries with the Roma community, and I've particularly got my ear out for any ideas that are around that community, just because I'm interested and I'm already connected. And I think that's important. And it comes back to looking at what they do. Don't just go to anybody. Find out whether there's something who has some match up to your own skills or your own ideas.
Is it better to approach these indie companies with, let's say, a CV or showreel than big places like the BBC? Is that where the industry is these days, where content's made? It's better to approach
for a job,
for work experience, just getting the foot in the door and starting your way.
I think in the end, there's no kind of substitute for actually shoe leather. I think if you've got no experience at all, people like Chris, employers will be really respectful of you because everyone understands that that's where people start, and that's important to remember that in the back of your head. They should remember that's where everyone started. Half of them did that. The chances are that they started like that as well. So they'll understand that kind of blank slate thing. So really, unfortunately, it's a numbers game, I think. You do have to contact a lot. It's that kind of kissing frogs, I'm afraid. Before you meet your handsome prince, you just kiss quite a few, and you have to go out. And that's why a lot of people, go to London to try and make it in the industry, because in a way they can, in a day, you can visit, 15 companies. In Bristol or around here, there are less companies. But if you do your research and you match your ideas and what you want to do with the company, there's actually no reason why you can't find a kind of match for your skills. And I know that it's brilliant when somebody comes to Coin the Shops and they've researched them and they know what they do and they go, I really want to do that. It makes us really, people who have come, makes us really excited. Oh, someone else gets it. It's great. Obviously it's got to be genuine, but that's the thing about finding somebody who genuinely matches your skill set. So that my answer is really look for all opportunities, but probably the ones that you're connected to in some way, either because you know more about them or because they inspire you. They're the ones to go for, because there's nothing like talking to somebody in an interview room who's come for a job, who connects with what you're doing, with your brand or your outlook or whatever. That's really important. I want to crack on really, because people have just been sitting around for ages. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Thank you ever so much to Jeremy. Let's give him a good hand.